Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago, a nation in crisis. Joining us on set now, Margaret Sampson Brown and Daryl Joseph. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Morning again.
Now, Daryl, before we went to the break, I started, have we become insensitive to this? No. Are we immune to this level of tragedy in our nation?
I would say we're not insensitive to it because it's still making front page news and people are still very much affected by it. But I would like to throw something else into the mix as well to put things in context, all right? The incident that took place in East Port of Spain last week, around the same time frame.
At Besson Street. At
Besson Street, all right? What I would like to highlight in particular is the apparent boldness of the persons in their interactions with the police. The fact that whereas before people would have been a little more intimidated by the presence of heavily armed police, but you're actually seeing persons now engaging police officers directly head on, without necessarily being afraid or running away. And the reason why I'm putting that in is because I want to put it into the whole context of the increasing surge of violent activity throughout the length and breadth of the land. We can't just look at incidents in isolation. You have to look at everything together as a whole and understand what's going on in the psyche of the population.
The psyche of the population. Margaret Sampson Brown, you're with the Victim Support Unit. Crimes against children, are they on the rise?
Yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. And more so, crimes that are not reported. It's almost as if there's an implosion of behavior, because sometimes you respond to a situation where, like a basic domestic violence situation, and there it is, your investigation will reveal that there are children in situations, in crisis, in homes, who are being abused by adults who love and support them.
Yes.
Yeah. What does it say about us that a man can, and I'm talking about this is a 24-hour span, a man following a domestic dispute threatened to kidnap and chop a child up, and this story was on the front page of The Guardian. And then less than 24 hours after, we see 3 children, 5 and 9, brutally stabbed to death. What does it take for an adult to look at a child and destroy their lives like that?
It reinforces a couple of things. One, it reinforces that there's an absolute lack of respect for life, and that has extended. We're seeing it extending now beyond just adult to adult violence, but we're seeing adults now not even recognizing the difference between a child and an adult. And we're seeing, the attacks coming left, right, and center. And again, it just reinforces this whole idea that there's an absolute lack of respect for life within our society today, a growing disrespect. Also, there's a disrespect for lawlessness. There's an increasing tendency towards lawlessness, because, you see, the human mind is a funny thing. Even a person who's very angry and upset, they still have a certain level of restraint in how they act. Because not every time somebody gets angry, they act out, they act in absolute madness and do the maximum amount of destruction that they could. So there's still a certain amount of self-control, but the mark at which that self-control kicks in is moving, and it's moving in the wrong direction, unfortunately.
Mark, when you saw that story on Friday, I mean, we saw the footage. We saw a woman saying, I'm a mother as well, and if my 5-year-old child was stabbed to death in that manner, what would I do?
You see, Hima, before adults become adults, they were children. And if things happening in a child's life that is left unchecked. Now, I read in the paper over the weekend that someone said that the perpetrator
was a drug addict.
They also said that he was abused. He was sexually abused by an adult. Now, if that is so, one would only have to imagine the kind of behaviors that are existing in homes where children are being abused by adults, and adults are standing by and not saying anything about it, not doing anything about it, the community not doing anything about it, and there it is that a monster is growing up who will eventually behave or portray. This morning I was reading something that says that you can blow a spark and it will come up light, or you can spit on it and it will out, and it comes from the same mouth. It comes from the same mouth. So we are saying, yes, he's an adult, but he was a child. And if any truth is what they say, that he was abused, then chances are that he has been toting and carrying around a lot of pain and whatever that is left unchecked.
Well, damaged people do damage people.
Yes.
That's right.
And Daryl, let's bring the drug abuse and the substance abuse into this.
Sure.
The symptoms, and I mean, a lot of people, we don't know what type of drugs, whether it was hard drugs, marijuana, whatever it was.
Yes.
How does this inhibit that? And I know a lot of times people close their eyes to the side effects of drug abuse and even marijuana and all of these things. What are some of the symptoms and what does it do to you? What does it inhibit and how does it stop your brain function?
All right, okay. Now, we don't know exactly what state, assuming the person was a drug, we don't know what state they actually were in, all right? But there's a couple of common things that happen with all different forms of substance abuse, okay? They distort reality for the person who has used. Now, whether it's something that increases activity or decreases activity, it causes the person who is using to see reality in a way that is different from what is actually happening, okay? In many cases, as in the case of alcohol, for example, the parts of your system that inhibit your control, that give you control, that give you self-control and restraint and allow you to make those kinds of rational decisions, those centers almost get switched off, if you can imagine, so that a person who is under the influence will act in ways that they ordinarily wouldn't. So you combine a distortion of reality, a distortion of perception with a lack of inhibition, you can basically get anything.
Are we seeing an increase in terms of violence being committed by drug offenders and those substance abuse?
Based on our statistics, no. But increase of offenses against children, domestic violence, and there will be a gamut of rationale for it. There will be alcohol abuse, drug abuse, different situations, social behaviors and different things happening in the homes that would cause that increase in domestic violence. Hence the reason we want to go head on the Victim and Witness Support Unit to have a conference for male. Men need to speak out. Men need to vent. Some of the violence that's happening in our society are perpetrated by males who perceive they are being marginalized, who perceive that they are being ostracized, who believe that the magistrates in the court are not fair to them, they are biased by their decisions, who believe that the only thing that they could come out with is violence against their loved ones and their children. So we at the police service, we are being proactive. We are having one of the hugest conferences you will ever get in November of this year, men only.
Now, I know that on Friday there was yet another situation, and Daryl, you spoke about it, involving police officers and our lack of respect. Do you see, let's see what's happening there. This is the footage we got.
Look, you see? Police is right there, they're not afraid.
They're
pulling away, Only when shots get fired. It wasn't like that.
That is in the capital city of Trinidad and Tobago. What does it say when we are seeing this level? Obviously, there's no respect for law anymore.
No, listen, I don't want to sound alarmist, but, you know, I think persons in my position have to be the ones to say things that they see before they happen, okay? I've read a number of commentaries recently, different writers, and, you know, listening to people on the ground and so forth and forming my own conclusions. There's a storm brewing in this country right now. I don't like what I'm seeing at all. Because if you look at the trend of behavior, if you look at the trend of activity, you realize that people are becoming more and more bold, people are being more and more aggressive, people are acting out more and more. What's not happening right now is that there's no person or no individual or no group that is harnessing that energy and trying to use it for the wrong things. But what I'm saying is people are right there, the pot, as it were, is bubbling over, and I'm extremely concerned about the direction that we're going in. This particular footage and these things that happen with these adults and these children, it sends a very, very, very scary message about the direction our country is going in.
Do you think we've lost faith in the police service? If the police service lost a battle, you see heavily armed riot police, SWAT police officers out there in their machine guns, and civilians are ready and willing to go up against them. Where do we turn to get law and order restored? Look at what's happening on our television screen. Well,
the police have been really trying to do they have a Herculean task on their hands to deal with some of the crisis situation happening in Trinidad and Tobago. I know that our police officers are equipped, they are ready, they are charged. Perhaps our numbers may vary based on some of the many reactions that we have to be going into. And I keep saying we, although I'm retired, I can't take my hat off my head. But the police officers, we have to continue to keep law and order in Trinidad and Tobago, because if we don't do it, who else?
Exactly.
So we have to do it. Notwithstanding that is happening, we have to stay focused and stay charged to really to serve the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago the way they're supposed to be served.
What, and this is about the protection of our children as we wrap this interview, what advice will you have for the parents out there and for the members of that community that are still reeling? And so many children are subject to abuse throughout our country. What do you say to the adults today?
I think right now school is on vacation.
Yes.
And parents still have to work. Parents are not on vacation. Be careful where you send your child to with camps. A lot of people saying they're having camps, free camps all over, transport to and from. Still, you are the parent, be in charge. Know where your children are, love them, support them, speak with them. Every opportunity you have, speak with your children, hug them. Fathers, hug your son and kiss them. You know, you have some people, fathers don't believe they should kiss the son. Fathers, hug your son and kiss him. Say, son, I love you, I'm proud of you. Even if he's not doing so well, but hug him, and that gives him a sense of self.
Absolutely.
And it makes him or her believe that, listen, my dad, when a girl says daddy, it's different. So parents out there, we are appealing. The Victim and Witness Support Unit, we are here to support you. If you're having challenges, call us. Come to us.
Come and support. Darrell, you have to find, we are at a tipping point. A storm is brewing in our nation. What do you would like to say to Trinidad and Tobago?
I would like to add to what Margaret already said. I would really like to see people do a lot of reflection and return to some of the values. I don't want to use a phrase that has been abused and misused, all right? But I'm not talking religion, but what I'm saying is what religion teaches, the values, the attitudes in terms of looking out for your neighbor, you know, treating people with respect and dignity and so on. I'd really like to see people make an attempt to return to that kind of practice in their daily life.
Return to that practice in your daily life. We now take a very short break. When we come back, we'll talk good governance, fraud detection, and risk analysis. Stay with us.